Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with special guests speaking about her recovery from bulimia. Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am the host of Bleep Bulimia. And today I am so honored to have Rannveig with me today. She is a recovered bulimic and she's willing to share her story. So thank you very much for being here with us. And please tell us about your story.
Yes, my story, I think maybe it began somewhere when I was the initial signs, when I was probably about 8 or 9. I was quite focused on food, on weight, on whether I was fat or not. I had been bullied a little bit in school for being chubby. I wasn't fat, I was a little bit chubby. And my brothers also were making fun of the fact that I was a bit chubby. And I guess around that time, we were going through huge emotional turmoil at home. There was a divorce and a lot going on. And I remember at that time, I became very occupied with, whether I was fat and also food. I used food, I used comfort food. And then I think I had a few years where I was just rather careful of what I ate, but I was, quite concerned that, not putting on weight and being quite slim until I went on a skiing trip. I think I was about 13. And during the skiing trip, I was doing a lot of sport and probably eating a lot. And when I came back, I was probably eating much, but didn't do any sport. And I suddenly gained 4 kilos. I don't know what that's in US, gained 4 kilos. And which I think somehow just made me a bit desperate. I don't know. I panicked and I started to, I was probably 13. I started to try to just starve myself, not eat at all, do all kind of desperate measures to lose those kilos very fast. And probably this was also linked to being a teenager, hormones, and a lot of things that were going on. But just by starving myself and not eating, that led to losing control. And then when I lost control, I ate too much, and that started. And then I started throwing up. For a few years, it just gradually became worse and worse. So it's. It was going. Maybe I stopped for a little while, and then started again. But it was very frequent. I think 13, 14, 15, 16. I wasn't necessarily underweight. I remember when I was like 16, I was almost getting chubby again because everything was just it was a mess. My food intake. And then it got really bad, and I went to slowly. I was at a point where I spent a lot of extra time, a lot of spare time, just coping with just being bulimic and eating and throwing up. It was, it could be many days, whole day, many times per day, and it just got worse. And the weekends, I was at school and I did fine at school, so I had from the outside an okay life. I'm very glad I did. I think that helped me a lot. But sometimes I maybe went through the school day, and then the only thing I did when I got home from school was this, nothing else. And same if I had the opportunity of weekends, it just got really, really bad. And the portions got bigger, I got sicker, and I got just more and more addicted into this. For me, this was just an addiction. I could also have been a heroin addict. I just felt it was, I did everything to get my I was totally desperate to get my fix, and I would have done almost anything to get it. And it just affected my life tremendously because it changed my personality. It changed my changed my personality. It changed the way I behaved to people around me. I became someone I wasn't because like I say, I compare this very much to addiction. For me, it was an addiction. Like for any addiction, it's, at least in my case, I started being not honest. I was lying, I was hiding, I was isolating myself. And even though, I mean, I knew I could die because it was just getting so bad that I felt almost unconscious sometimes in the evening when it had been a big day. And I woke up and I just felt really, really bad. I couldn't stop. And I maybe went to sleep and I said, never again. It's going to be over. It's the last time. Never, ever again. And the day after, I could maybe hold on until lunch or maybe until after school. So it was just, I mean, it was horrible. And it's just, maybe I shouldn't be using those words, but I was very sick and very desperate, and it took over my life. It controlled my life. It took over and ruined a lot of communication or relationships I had. And maybe broke some even, because it just made me, person I wasn't before. And just, yeah.
I'm curious about the changing as a person. I know that it changed me as well. In what context did it change you as far as who you were? I mean, other than the fact I agree that, I don't like to lie, but I started lying. So it was going against my values, having bulimia,
Yes.
because it forced me to lie, to hide it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, yes, I would lie. Also, I mean, I could, if I had the opportunity to get my fix whatever way, I would do so. And this is not something I would do in any other. It's difficult to speak about it, but I just, like any drug addict, just desperation to get your fix. And but also isolating myself, because I was quite sociable, and when I felt bad, instead of maybe talking to people or doing something nice, I just wanted to go home and do this, be alone. So a lot of isolation, and also hobbies, because it took over so many years of my life, and during that time I wasn't I mean, doing any real hobbies, because I didn't have any hobbies anymore. So I didn't really know what I liked anymore. So I mean, I found out so much later that there are so many things I like. But at that time, I was working in a restaurant, Hard Rock Cafe. So I was working in a restaurant, very convenient, and doing school. And apart from that, I wasn't really having any hobbies. I wasn't. So, it just took over my life. And I didn't have any boyfriend. I had friends, but I don't think they knew how sick I was. And so it just really made me, I'm just going to say something really bad, and don't, and please, excuse me, for saying it. I felt like, there's a book, Kafka, Metamorphose, when they discuss there's a person that changes into a insect in the house, and people are always all trying to hide the insect. I sometimes felt that was what I had become, like just so my expression of myself was so my image of myself was so bad that I just felt that I wasn't me anymore. I was just becoming some kind of insect, or just I'd lost myself.
That's not bad. That's not a bad thing to say, because what you're doing is you're sharing, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people who feel like that. I felt like that. Uh, did you find, I know personally me, I became more moody, and part of that was if I was in a situation that I wanted my fix and I couldn't get it, I would get moody. I would turn people away because I'd prefer to, like you said, isolate, be home with my food than be with people. It was awful, like
Absolutely.
really. And my moods got
Absolutely.
bad. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if someone would be in my way, and
Mhm.
that's what you think. That's why I say, I mean, I've been studying addictions recently. And for me, this is so much like, and I want to study more bulimia from an addiction point of view, because for me, there are lots of similarities. This is like, any other addiction. And the thing is, when someone would stand in your way, I would be on my way to get my fix, and someone would try to stop me. I think I would have done anything. Just, I would be so angry with this person. She would be, stopping me because this is my desperation. And I think, like for many addiction, it becomes your, it becomes like one of your essential needs. Like for I think for some, I think for people to understand addiction, and like I say, for me, bulimia is an addiction. Often, for a normal person to understand, I would say, okay, what are your essential needs? Sleep, eat, maybe cuddle, I don't know. But if I would say to you, I'm going to help you to stop eating and sleeping, it's coming so essential. And what it becomes for us when we are addicted to this is that it becomes a prime need. It's just we have to get our fix. Just like, I don't know, if we take sleep and food from someone healthy, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is numbing. I can still remember it was the easiest way. What did I say? That it hurts not to hurt, because what you're doing is you're eating and binging and purging your feelings a lot of times. And
Yes.
I don't know about you, but not only does it become an addiction, but while addictions are usually to numb something in your life. And like they say, bulimia is harder because food's always there.
Mm-hmm.
But even when it's not, you find a way to do it. I know, I'm just going to quickly tell you, I can still remember I was working, I was living with a friend, I was in my 20s, and she lost her job, so I had to pay. So we didn't have a lot of food in the house, but I found ways, whether it was putting eggs in water with spices and bread, like some of the stuff that I even ate at the time was, people would sit there go, ooh, but it was filling that weird space. It was, I can't even explain that part, because I'm thinking, why would you even, but I don't know if it was
Yeah,
like you, but you'd eat anything. Which is
yeah,
scary.
yeah, from my perspective, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's a lot about then how you deal with feelings, of course, but I fully agree. And but I think that when you become so addicted to this, and this is your desperation, I mean, if this is all you have, this is the fix you're going to take, because you are addicted to the whole process of eating and purging. So it's so there's and to fill you up and throw so and when you get these cravings, I remember when I was getting out of it and I was slowly getting better, but it came as a huge urge, like a craving. I mean, just like an alcoholic. I just went into a store, I was going to buy a carrot, and I ended up going on my trip. So it was just so strong to and I could absolutely not control myself. It was and that's, I think, is a very hard part and hard pill to swallow, is to be not able to control yourself or to trust yourself. That's a very hard pill to swallow, I feel.
So you were speaking to prior to us coming on, and I really want to touch on this, as you were talking about the shame part of it.
Yes.
So
Yeah. And I mean, I've been now I I I think I was approximately around 24, 25 when I was suddenly realizing that I didn't remember the last time. It was just a freedom to find that I was free from it, but the shame has never really gone away. And it's, I've been, I tell people who know me well, who that I had this, but it's difficult to get over the shame part and to accept that I went through this for so many years. But I find it easier now when I'm getting older, but also to understand where it's coming from. I find it easier to see that if I see this as a method to cope with very difficult times in life, and that methods that I just couldn't help, and I got addicted to, and I was really in a bad shape. I was sick, and it helps me to try to feel less shame, because it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there. Not like any anyone else that goes through episodes that are they lose control and they go through tough times in their life. We have to accept them, and we when we're sick, it's it shouldn't be. But it's getting better. But it was worse. But I still sometimes feel like the shame.
Wow, that's interesting. I found the more I talked about it, the less shame there was. And when I finally decided to become a bulimia recovery coach and to start this podcast, it's interesting how many people out there, reach out to you and say thank you, and I need your help, and wow, you've recovered, and they want to hear your story. So that's why I'm very, very honored again to say that you're here telling this and saying that you've recovered. I just want to quickly say too, I'm really sorry that your start is so young. I know that I was bullied and said that I was fat when I was 9 years old, but it didn't correlate to food at all. I didn't put the two together, strangely enough, until I was 16. So you started at a very young age to be aware of this.
I was very, and I was, I think in my mind, I think it took me around 5 years to really reach the button, to really rock bottom, and then I was, it was taken totally control over my life. Although I said, thankfully, I still went to school, and I, I had stable school environment. And then I went to a point where I had been seeing a therapist, trying to find therapists to help me. And at that time I was in Iceland, and I went 14, 15, 16. I went a few times, but therapists, they didn't know what it was and how to help me. So I was just like sent from one to another, until I went to a psychiatrist when I was about 18. And at that time, I was very underweight, and I was very, very sick. And that doctor said I needed to go to hospital, which I did. But he said to me that if I would be throwing up without my hands, I know, said women who throw up without their hands don't have a chance. And that was just, he didn't know it was my case. And and from there I went to a hospital for 1 month. It was a very bad experience because it wasn't adapted at all to my eating disorder, but it probably still helped me a little bit. And during that time I was just not almost not eating at all, because I was afraid. I really wanted to get better, but I was afraid of food. So I lost weight in there because I was just panicking. I didn't know I didn't really, you're just so lost after many years of this. I think people don't really realize that you have no idea what normal people eat. You're just like, what is a portion of food? You just, everything, it's so strange. And no one normal would understand this, but you're just lost. And yeah, I was just afraid. So I ate very little and I lost the weight, but it was still probably the beginning of going better. And then one woman at the hospital, I think it was a psychiatrist or someone who was assisting there, who said to me, "You'll see gradually there will be more space between each pension person. There'll be more space. There will be more space between them, more days." And that is what happened. It slowly became only in the evening, maybe only in the weekends, and then maybe twice per week, then maybe once per month, and then until I was 24 or 5 and I didn't remember the last time. And since there are many, many years, I mean, now I've been, and also people have said to me, almost like they're not believing me that I'm totally over it. Because you hear these stories that if you are, then you're always going to get back there. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm sorry, I'm not saying I'm perfect, far from it, but I haven't had any bulimia crisis for over 20 something years. I mean, it's just like very, very, very long time. Maybe after I was, maybe once per year, sometime when I was 20 something until I was 30, but I don't even remember. I mean, now for over 20 years, it's just, it's just not there. And I'm not struggling. It's just gone. It's not there. But it helps me to understand all addictions and a lot of things of pain that people may be going through. And I want to understand more. But for me, it's gone. It's just gone.
It's interesting that you say that because you are studying it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I went to psychiatrists and I went to therapists, and the favorite one that I had, unfortunately, I had to move away, and I wish I hadn't because I might have actually recovered a lot sooner. Yeah. She had struggled with an eating disorder and she had recovered. So she knew what I was going through. And I know that it sounds crazy. It's not to say, hey, you know what, if you want to be a coach or a therapist for bulimics, go out and be bulimic and then come back and help them. Not saying that. I'm saying that if you did struggle with it, though, you have a better understanding of the mindset. And like you said, people who haven't done it, it's hard to understand our concept of what food, of what we were looking at and how we perceived food, how we hid it, why we hid it, what was going on, and how to recover. And there's definitely so many different ways of recovering, but I think that the step is first is to want to.
Yes.
And to move forward. And I so appreciate everything that you're saying here today. We were talking to before, I said, one of my psychiatrists, and he was really good, but he still really didn't get me, but he kind of did. He said I was like a China doll. I was very cold on the outside, but very fragile. And I thought that was interesting. And then, of course, we also said that it is a slow form of suicide. And, thank God it was slow, because I'm grateful I'm here today. And like you, mine's been 11 years. And I said, I don't even know. Some days I wonder why I even started this, because I'm so grateful to be free and to be able to eat with my family, to be able to, see food as something more than just an addiction, as you said. Yeah.
It's this freedom. It's freedom, and that's this freedom of not having it, because it's hell. I think many women who go there, or people, they just call this hell. I mean, because it is hell, where you're totally uncontrollable under this, and it's such a life. It's just so much easier when you are free from this torture, like probably any addiction. It's just so it's fantastic. Like and I think in a way it has made me stronger, although I'm still maybe fragile from some point of view. I wouldn't have been that sick if I wouldn't be fragile from some point of view, but I think it has made me stronger and more resilient towards other things. And I've, taken, I decided to not to drink and not, smoking many years ago, not to drink because I just, I decided I'm studying all about these addictions. And I'm really trying to have quite a healthy living. I think it's important, and try to, try to take care of myself. For many years, I was afraid of that it would come back, like, like this animal that would just come back and bite me.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the reasons I was scared of talking about it, because I was afraid that maybe I would just go back. But now maybe I should be relaxed. It's been such a long time, and I should, it hasn't come back all this time. Why shouldn't suddenly, pop up, knock on my door? It's been such a long time, and it's great, but it's a real struggle and real hell. And yeah, I sometimes think also I would love to help one way or another, but I just don't know how. Maybe I will one day, I don't know, but it's because I remember I was thinking I would have loved to meet someone who was recovered. I remember when I was sick, and I just felt that I didn't have a chance, that I was the worst ever, and my case was the worst ever, and I was just, I would never recover. And if I would recover, I become obese. I was sure that I would not have a chance to, and
that is something that so many hold on to it because they're afraid of that. And yeah, I'm 11 years recovered, and I've been at the same weight for 11 years. And it's just, is it all the ways that easy? I gained a little bit of weight when I did stop, but it's nice because my body got to the weight that it's comfortable at once it got there. And that your body knows once it recovers, it knows. So as long as you're not doing the emotional eating, and obviously with you recovered to the point where you understood that emotional eating is not going to take away from, you have to deal with them, really is ultimately what it is. By the way, you're saying I don't know how to help. Right now, you being here is helping. I'm sure that the listeners out here need to know a lot of the things that you're talking about. It goes, I'm never going to recover. I'm never going to be able to do this. And the word, though, that something bad, no, it's never bad to share anything. It's important to do that. I can't tell you again how much I really appreciate you being here. It's a beginning, and the fact that it's the first time that you're talking about it is just,
yes,
I'm so sitting there going, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've never talked about it. But maybe one thing I would like to mention, which was a big surprise to me, and I didn't know, is, and I've also been learning through my studies, is that I discovered almost by coincidence, almost 2 years ago, that I have ADHD. And the doctor who analyzed me told me that it was very common that people with ADHD have eating disorders. And so, there are things we don't know. So, so that's just, that could also help for people to know that if they get the right treatment and they know it early enough, that could also help.
Absolutely. When we talk about perfectionism, that's part of that too. OCD is part of that too. I know, even to this day, sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm moving things around because I still have a little bit of that OCD, but I'm okay with that because otherwise my house would be a mess. But you're right. And with me, like I said, I was 17 when I started, and I'm 59. So that was like, hate to say it, like 42 years ago or something like that. There wasn't a lot out there, and the parents didn't have a lot to go by either. We're very lucky that today that we can, but again, you have to want to take that first step. And really, Rannveig, I am again thankful for you being here, for opening it up with us. And I really do wish you all the best for continuing with your studies on that. And I know that you will make a difference. It's just been wonderful having you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit me at bleepbulimia.com.